Hi everyone, it's Shari Carroll here with a really fun card using some of the stamps and dies from the new Splash of Color release from Simon Says Stamp. If you haven't seen the entire release yet, I'll put a link in my description and that'll take you right to all the product. To get this card started, I'm using the Pool Play stamp set, which features a little boy and a girl. Usually we don't have little boys, and lots of little fun summer things. It also has a coordinating die with that. I'll be using my Misty to stamp these, and what I've decided to do with a lot of the outline stamps is I usually stamp with black ink, and I've decided not to clean them. I'm just going to let my black ink dry on those. So what I'll do is go ahead and pull my girl off, because I'm going to be using Abby. So I've named these Abby and Jax. So I'll go ahead and put Abby down to where she'll stamp just on some regular white Nina cardstock. She also has a little flotation ring around her midsection, and I'm going to use the frog eyes or the frog face for that, and also add a few little pieces in case I want to use them later when I put my card together. Okay, so once I have those in place, I'll go ahead and shut the lid to the Misty, and I'm going to put this over here a little bit so I have a little bit extra room. So you just shut the lid, press down, and then the stamps will stick to that lid. And now I'm ready to ink that up. I'll make sure that my paper is all stuck to the right side. I use the left-handed Misty. And I'll be using archival ink for this. I'm going to be coloring these with color pencils. If you were to use your Copic markers, you would use the Memento ink. So I'm just going to make sure that I get this really well covered. What's a beauty about using the Misty is that if you don't get it stamped perfectly, you have a second chance because it is a positioner. So once I have it inked up, I'll go ahead and press this onto the cardstock. I know that I'll be ending up using just the upper portion of Abby later, so I just want to make sure that the upper portion of her body is stamped really well. And I always push on the plastic with my fingers just to get a really good contact. Okay, so I can see that I need to redo a little bit around her eyes because she has really dark black eyes. So I'm just going to go in the upper portion just to make sure I have her well inked. And once I'm ready, I can go ahead and close that lid again. It's perfectly positioned, and I'll press around in those areas that I thought needed more ink. Now I have a really great impression. Before I've colored these, I have used the coordinating dies, and I've run those through my Big Shot. And now it's time to color, so I've picked up some peach color, and it doesn't really come out on the video as a true peach. I don't know why. In photographs it looks really great. But this is a real nice flesh color, and I'll just start filling in some of her skin. Once I have the flesh colored in, I'll go back in with a little bit of pink just to kind of give her a little bit of color on the tops of her arms and shoulders and around in the cheek areas. I've decided to make her golden blonde, so I've chosen some of my yellow pencils, and some of them get to almost an orange color. So I'll just go ahead and start blending in the orange with the yellow, and this will give me a nice variation of color. It's really fun on her hair because each of the strips of hair pieces are separated by the black line, so you can go ahead and add some lights and darks as you do your coloring. And now onto her swimsuit. I know that I'll be using like a pool colored cardstock, and I want it to really contrast. So orange contrasts against blue really well, so I really want this to pop. So I'm just filling in, and I'm going a little bit heavier around the outside edges, and this will give me a little bit darker color. I've cut my waves from some Audrey Blue cardstock, and I've used the large waves and the smaller waves, and this is from the Border Waves set where you get 3 different selections. So I've left my papers where one is a bit longer than the other so that these can stack up together. And I'll be putting Abby in between those layers of waves, but first I want to stamp some fish, and I'm using the new High Dive ink, and there's some small fish that are in the set, and they're really tiny, so one is a little bit bigger than the other, and I'll stamp these going to the left, and this is the larger fish, and you can tell when they're up or down by the eyeball. The eyeball kind of sits to the top of the fish, so I'll go ahead and fill in this front panel with some of these cute little fish. To finish this card off, I've stamped happy with some black ink on that back wave, and then I've die cut the word summer with the painted summer word. And I've also die cut a nice sun using some of our orange peel cardstock. I've used some foam squares to lift everything up and create dimension, and I also wrapped the panel with the Tim Holtz linen twine tied in a knot. I hope I've given you some inspiration on how to use the Pool Play stamp set and coordinating dies from the Splash of Color release from Simon Says Stamp. And as always, thanks for watching.